If we wanted to convert a regular expression to a DFSM, there's some ground rules that we have to worry about. There's some steps for success, but I'll be honest with you. It's not always easy because you really, really need to make sure that you debug it. There are some nice programs that are out there, and there's one missing from my head, and I'll remember it probably as soon as I get down to the bottom here, that helps you with this type of scenario. Oh, I remember it now. It's JFlap from University of Duke. But anyway, JFlap is a program that you actually draw out this portion that we were just talking about. You draw out the DFA, and then you go ahead and test it with some inputs, and it checks to see if it works out or not. So that's a nice feature that you can use, and again, it's called JFlap. It'll pop up here. But anyway, so you must have some type of alphabet in your language, and the alphabet is those items that are coming out of the states. Remember, we had A's and B's or not, those symbols as well. Or in our other ones, we had zeros and ones. Those would be your alphabet. And again, we've talked about alphabet before in our grammars. We have a dead state or a sync state or an error state. I don't care which one you call it, but we're going to have that because most of the time it's going to end up there anyway because of errors and other things like that. When we do the steps for success, I'm going to have you read it instead of me reading it out to you, but I'm going to show you an example as well. Notice I'm trying to do this minimally, step by step, iteratively, stuff like that. I'll just leave it at that. You're going to find other ways of being able to do this, and that's just fine. But there is no just one clear-cut way of doing this. It's going to have to be trial and error. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Like the first one here, we have ABB as DF. There's nothing really crazy about this. Number one, you're going to add the errors to denote the unions. So we have A to B, then B to B. From there, then make overall notes about the grammar. Super simple, no other notations. Create a simple example that fits a grammar. This is almost too easy. And then create examples do not fit the grammar. And then finally, starting with a state 0, which is start state, we must have that, at least the basic form of that. So there's your A, B, B. And then if it's anything else, we have that sync or error state that's going to be there. So that's the important part, is really just kind of designing things out step by step. And this, again, is a simple example, but at least wanted to show you what your overall scenario is going to be. This is actually done in JFlap, which I've just mentioned. So just a heads up that it's out there. It can help you, and I don't mind personally you using it for my class, but just a heads up that it's out there. Here's another example. It's a little harder, and that's using A, and then we have not really a grouping, but it's an A or a B, but we have many of them, and then it stops at a B. And notice again, it's the same 5 steps that you're welcome to read. To be honest with you, creating the samples that match and those that don't match are really important because you need a sample and testing set to really see if it works or not. So really, really helpful when it comes to also kind of drawing things out on this one as well. So this one looks completely different than the previous one. I don't have a sync state with this one. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know why, to be very honest with you. This must have been the sync state because I believe it starts with an A, right? Yeah, it has to start with an A. So for some reason, I would have changed the name of this to sync state or error state or something of that nature, but I think that's why I have this red line here, is because, again, anything that wasn't an A is going to end up here. Now, notice, by the way, I also don't have things with that are not A, or sorry, like epsilon or some other characters, because, again, I've defined my grammar to have the basic language of A and B. So they're not going to be, the alphabet's very, very small in this example, just going to be A's and B's combination. But I had to define that, and I kind of do that here. So, and in the overall notes about the grammar as well. So a number of letters or possible options I have in this particular grammar are very, very small. So this is also why this is rather small and kind of easy to read. Then you need to test it. Make sure it works out. Test it with these 2 sets that I'm highlighting right now. Prove me wrong. I'd be happy to, because frankly, if something's wrong, boy, I don't want to do a video and just say it's right. So get that done, test it out for me real quick, and we'll go from there.